Several national leaders, both dictators and democratically elected figures, were caught in the middle of the US-Soviet Cold War, a position that ultimately cost them their office. And, for some, their life, as the CIA tried to install their man as head of state. The US government has since publicly acknowledged some of these covert actions. The legacy of covert US involvement in the 7 successful coups, not to mention a number of US military interventions against hostile regimes and US-supported insurgencies and failed assassination attempts, including a plan to kill Fidel Castro with an exploding cigar, has made the secret hand of the United States a convenient bogeyman in today's political tensions. Here's a brief history of the confirmed cases of the CIA's globe-spanning campaign of coups. Iran, 1953. Despite continued speculation about the CIA's role in a 1949 coup to install a military government in Syria, the ouster of Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh is the earliest coup of the Cold War that the US government has acknowledged. In 1953. After nearly 2 years of Mossadegh's premiership, during which time he challenged the authority of the Shah and nationalized an Iranian oil industry previously operated by British companies, he was forced from office and arrested, spending the rest of his life under house arrest, according to the declassified CIA-authored history of the operation. Guatemala, 1954. Though the United States was initially supportive of Guatemalan President Jacobo Arbenz, the State Department felt his rise through the US-trained and armed military would be an asset. The relationship soured as Arbenz attempted a series of land reforms that threatened the holdings of the US-owned United Fruit Company. A coup in 1954 forced Arbenz from power, allowing a succession of juntas in his place. Classified details of the CIA's involvement in the ouster of the Guatemalan leader, which included equipping rebels and paramilitary troops while the US Navy blockaded the Guatemalan coast, came to Congo, 1960. Patrice Lumumba, the first prime minister of the Congo, was pushed out of office by Congolese President Joseph Kasavubu amid the US-supported Belgian military intervention in the country, a violent effort to maintain Belgian business interests after the country's decolonization. But Lumumba maintained an armed opposition to the Belgian military and, after approaching the Soviet Union for supplies, he was targeted by the CIA. Once the agency determined he was a threat to the newly installed government of Joseph Mobutu, the Church Committee, an 11-senator commission established in 1975 to provide oversight of the clandestine actions of the US intelligence community, found that the CIA continued to maintain close contact with Congolese who expressed a desire to assassinate Lumumba, and that CIA officers encouraged and offered to aid these Congolese in their efforts against Lumumba. After an aborted assassination attempt against Lumumba involving a poisoned handkerchief, the CIA alerted Congolese troops to Lumumba's location and noted roads to be blocked and potential escape routes. Lumumba was captured in late 1960 and killed in January of the following year. South Vietnam, 1963. The United States was already deeply involved in South Vietnam in 1963, and its relationship with the country's leader, Ngo Dinh Diem, was growing increasingly strained amid Diem's crackdown on Buddhist dissidents. According to the Pentagon Papers, on August 23, 1963, South Vietnamese generals plotting a coup contacted US officials about their plan. After some fits and starts plus a period of US indecision, the generals seized and killed Diem on November 1, 1963 with US support, which, by some accounts, partially came in the form of $40,000 in CIA funds. For the military coup d'etat against Ngo Dinh Diem, the US must accept its full share of responsibility. Beginning in August of 1963, we variously authorized, sanctioned and encouraged the coup efforts of the Vietnamese generals and offered full support for a successor government. We maintained clandestine contact with them throughout the planning and execution of the coup and sought to review their operational plans and proposed new government. Brazil, 1964. The United States backed a 1964 coup led by Humberto Castelo Branco, then Chief of Staff of the Brazilian Army. In the days leading up to the coup, the CIA encouraged street rallies against the government and provided fuel and arms of non-US origin to those backing the military. I think we ought to take every step that we can. Be prepared to do everything that we need to do, President Lyndon Johnson told his Advisors planning the coup, according to declassified government records obtained by the National Security Archive. The Brazilian military went on to govern the country until 1985. Chile, 1973. The United States never wanted Salvador Allende, the socialist candidate, elected president of Chile in 1970, to assume office. President Richard Nixon told the CIA to make the Chilean economy scream, and the agency worked with 3 Chilean groups, each plotting a coup against Allende in 1970. The agency went so far as to provide weapons, but the plans fell apart after the CIA lost confidence in its proxies. U.S. attempts to disrupt the Chilean economy continued until General Augusto Pinochet led a military coup against Allende in 1973. The CIA's official account of the seizure of power on September 11, 1973, notes that the agency was aware of coup plotting by the military, had ongoing intelligence collection relationships with some plotters, and because CIA did not discourage the takeover and had sought to instigate a coup in 1970, probably appeared to condone it. The CIA also conducted a propaganda campaign in support of Pinochet's new regime after he took office in 1973, despite knowledge of severe human rights abuses.